Hello and welcome to Views on News. I'm Jawad. Tehami. Pakistan's Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto has arrived in Indian city of Goa to attend the Council of Foreign Ministers meeting of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. The Foreign Minister says Pakistan's decision of attending this particular meeting of the SCO illustrates Pakistan's strong commitment to the Charter of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Also, Foreign Minister, upon his arrival in Goa, while speaking to media, said that he was happy upon his arrival in Goa and also looks forward to bilaterally engaging with the members of this particular organization as well. Also, we have seen Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif regarding this particular participation of Foreign Minister in this particular mood has sent in a tweet. Let me quote what he had to say, that we are committed to playing our part to advance our shared values of peace and stability in the region. We are all for win-win understandings based on connectivity, trade and mutually advantageous cooperation. Unquote. Now, the agenda of this ministerial meeting will focus on preparations for the upcoming meeting of the heads of the states of council. Also, the coordination of the draft documents to be adopted at the summit. This particular ministerial meeting will also discuss the process of admitting the Islamic Republic of Iran and the Republic of Belarus to the SCO as member states as well. The participants will also exchange views on pressing regional and international issues. Let me quickly bring in our esteemed panel of guests to discuss this significant visit by Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto to India and his participation in a CFM of SCO over there. In the studio, we are honored to have been joined by Mr. Aniq Zafar. He is political analyst. Mr. Aniq, thank you very much for taking time out for Views on News tonight. We really appreciate that. We are also honored to have been joined on Skype by Dr. Jamil Khan. He is former ambassador. Dr. Jamil Khan, thank you very much for your time, also for being with us on Views on News tonight. We really appreciate that. Now, let me begin the discussion with you, Mr. Aniq Zafar. How do you analyze Pakistan's approach of deciding and participating in this particular mood?
Thank you, Mr. Tehami. First of all, I think it's very apparent, as you quoted Prime Minister's tweet, that this is a forum which is dedicated to multilateralism. This is a forum which is important for Pakistan because Pakistan is looking to enhance regional cooperation, and for very obvious reasons, because this forum is led by China and Russia. This was initially their initiative, and then initial members were from Central Asian states with whom we have cultural affinity and long lasting trade relationship since centuries. Obviously, in the last couple of decades, we have not been really able to capitalize on that potential, but we look forward to capitalizing on those historical linkages and our trade relationship with these countries. So it is very, very important for Pakistan to be part of this multilateral forum. There has been a lot of confusion about it, as if Prime Minister Bilawal Bhutto Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto is visiting India. He is not visiting India. He is visiting a multilateral forum, and this forum is not for bilateral issues. Though there will be a sort of expectation that he will raise security related issues which then become bilateral. We will have to be very cautious in our approach. It will have to be nuanced so that this multilateral forum does not fall into the bilateral schism between the
very
two
important
countries.
Point that you've just highlighted. I'll come back to you to discuss this particular point a little further in detail. Dr. Jamil Khan, I'll come to you also with this particular point, but first let me go to our correspondent there in Goa in India, Mr. Hassan Tariq, but he's joining us from there. Hassan, thank you very much for joining in. So as we saw, Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto is saying that he was happy upon his arrival in Goa. What had been his engagements so far?
Well, upon arriving here, first he already had a bilateral meeting right now, just moments ago, with the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, and he's also expected to, as far as his schedule is concerned, he is also expected to meet Secretary General of SCO. So these two, bilateral meetings have been planned for today, and up to three, maybe four bilateral meetings are planned for tomorrow. So as far as the day is concerned, it's been a very busy day for him as well. Flying from Karachi and then landing here and then all the way coming to the venue. And before leaving airport, in his statement, he said that he's glad to be here because his participation in this SCO Council of Foreign Ministers is a reflection that Pakistan is a serious, dynamic, and a very much active member of this organization.
Right. Hassan, are there any meetings on the bilateral side, on the sidelines of this particular important moot, or also expected for tomorrow?
Yes, bilateral meetings are also expected for tomorrow as well. And these bilateral meetings, SCO itself is a forum to promote, trade, investment, and cooperation in various sectors within the member state. But these bilateral meetings, they offer, a wonderful opportunity for Pakistan to enhance its, relations with its member states.
Right, Hassan, you're over there. You would definitely have interacted with the journalist community over there. How the Indian media is responding to this particular participation of Pakistan's foreign minister in this moot?
There were some expectations that, they would try to paint it as a, or in fact, they tried to do it as well. They tried to paint it as a, bilateral, meeting. Whereas we already know upon his arrival, Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto clearly, stated that this is not a bilateral visit. This is, he's representing Pakistan in, SCO's Council of Foreign Ministers.
Right, Mr. Hassan Tariq, but PTV correspondent, thank you very much for joining in and giving us the details regarding as to what engagements Foreign Minister has had during his first day in Goa and what are the expectations for the second day. Also, Dr. Jamil Khan, very clear that Pakistan's stance, when we talk about it, it's not arrival in India, it is arrival at the multilateral forum. What prospects do you think Pakistan associates with the SCO in the longer run? Dr. Jamil Khan, I seek your pardon for the interjection.
Yeah.
Would you kindly unmute yourself?
That's right. I think in the backdrop of emerging geopolitical unfolding situation, this SCO meeting becomes very important, not only for Pakistan, but all the members of member countries of the SCO. Pakistan is a very important pair of SCO because of its geographical location as well as because of its connection and because of its relations and because of the projects of the with China, between Pakistan and China becomes the main fulcrum of the SCO forum in terms of its influence, in terms of its latest geopolitical advocacy, where he has been able to resolve the problem of where China has been able to resolve the problem of Saudi Arabia and Iran, a landmark which probably even the United States was not expecting. So from that standpoint, it's a multilateral forum. Pakistan has gone, our foreign minister has gone to India because India is a rotational chair of SCO, nothing more. And this platform has its own agenda. This platform has its own charter, and everything revolves around its own charter. The charter doesn't permit the member countries to start discussing bilateral issues and conflicts at this platform. So that's why I am hoping that this on the sideline meeting, Bilawal Bhutto Zardari would be in a position to further have the advocacy of our foreign policy goals. And besides that, these are multilateral forum is one part, which is a formal session of the SCO, but then the bilateral or the sideline meeting becomes again very significant in terms of future engagements. So with 7 other countries, Pakistan would be having future engagements. And I'm hoping, in fact, there's a fair amount of chance that the foreign minister of ours would be able to meet every person, not sure about India, but every participants in that. And that would pave the way for Pakistan. And Pakistan sometime lacks its engagement at the multilateral forum. But with the presence of the foreign minister, I guess that we should be able to have that. Now, the agenda of this SCO is basically they would be discussing terrorism. And while discussing terrorism, India might as well. This time, I'm not really hoping that India would come strong on certain statements which could be detrimental to Pakistani interest, but terrorism is discussed, and which is a common problem in this region, particularly if we have in our mind the latest report by the monitoring team of United Nations Security Council, and as well as the latest report of the United States in terms of the terrorism and the ISK. Yes, Pakistan is equally interested, but India in previous multilateral forum has been trying to drift that and have been trying to bring it to the cross border and all. This time, I'm not expecting that to happen to that at that intensity what India has been trying. And Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, his first message after arrival there, by itself resonates a good message, and that should pave the way for further environment during these 2 days summit. Strengthening mutual trust of all the members is one of the ingredients of and in the charter, plus developing multifaceted cooperation, politics, trade, economy, research, technology. So all these things would be discussed, and this would be a preparation for the main summit of the head of states. I think it's going to be win-win position for most of these countries. And to me, the important thing is that the observer state countries and the dialogue country like Saudi Arabia and India would also be there. Observer state country, there are 4 of them. They would be there, and then there would be many other delegates who would be present. That would afford the opportunity of our foreign minister to interact with them as well. India very recently, in its the meeting with G20 summit, they tried to exploit it by having one working group, that is a tourism working group, meeting, planning to have in Kashmir, which I don't think that with the presence of China, which by itself has its own bilateral dispute, but even that I don't foresee that would emerge at this multilateral forum. And this is the second visit of Chinese foreign minister here, and preparation for the Chinese president visit to India. So it appears that subsequently the relationship among the countries, even if they have their disputes on the border, that should pave the way for the bilateral relations subsequently with these gestures which you can see. But there is one caveat in that. India is a part of a string of alliance, and we are part of a string of pearls. Under the background of backdrop of U.S. Containment policy in China, I think there is going to be some complexities, and we will wait to see what way India is going to proceed with it. Yes.
Let me bring in Mr. Aniq Zafar once again into the discussion. When we talk about the issue of terrorism, if that is expected to be raised over there at this multilateral forum, what about Afghanistan? Last time we saw during the CFM, Foreign Minister highlighted the Afghanistan issue and urged upon the regional countries that it happens to be the shared responsibility of the regional countries for the peace, stability, and prosperity of Afghanistan. Do you think this particular matter is going to be up for discussion during this particular moot also, because for regional connectivity and for all its fruits associated, peace and stability in Afghanistan is highly important.
This is absolutely very, very important for the success of regional stability agenda of SCO, as already mentioned by Honorable former Ambassador, that SCO is a security-centric organization. It works for regional stability. And this region cannot stabilize until unless we have a stable Afghanistan. And Pakistan is very well cognizant of that fact, and Pakistan has been pressing on the world to understand that, despite Pakistan's own reservations against some of the policies of the current Afghan government, which obviously has its own way of looking at the world, its own world view, the way they want to run the country. But Pakistan, because Pakistan gets immediate impact of whatever happens in Afghanistan. Afghanistan's economy is interlinked with Pakistan. Afghanistan's security is interlinked with Pakistan. If there are security concerns in Afghanistan, immediately there is pressure on Pakistan as refugees start pouring in here. As far as economy is concerned, we all know that Afghanistan relies heavily for food items on Pakistan. So Pakistan, it's in Pakistan's interest that Afghanistan's economy and security situation stabilizes.
So how bigger is it in the interest of the other regional countries also?
That's what I'm saying. And then when we talk about trade and interconnectivity, again, that has to go through Afghanistan. Pakistan and Afghanistan lie on that route, which connects Central Asian states to even India, or onwards to the waters, to sea ports. So this is a very, very critical question. And as we are aware that immediately after this conference, SCO foreign ministers meet, Pakistan, China and Afghanistan's foreign ministers are meeting up in Islamabad to discuss all these issues. So Afghanistan will remain a central point for all the security related stabilization of this region.
Right. Dr. Jamil Khan, what can the Shanghai Cooperation Organization do in order to avert the humanitarian crisis that Afghanistan is faced with, and also to impress upon the Afghan authorities, the Afghan Taliban, to fulfill their promise of containing all those militant outfits which are operating from the Afghan soil, so that there could be regional peace and stability?
It's not only the common interest of the SCO members, but it's also a common interest of ECO members, which is the Economic Cooperation Organization. There are 5 members which are common to SCO and ECO. So all are around this Afghanistan, and they all have their stakes in stability in Afghanistan, particularly if Afghanistan does not fulfill its promise which they made during the Doha agreement. Even day before yesterday, the Secretary General held that meeting of all the stakeholders where Afghans were not invited, and they discussed that issue. Not only that, United Nations Security Council monitoring cell had published its report indicating about the enhanced chances of terrorism, particularly by ISK. All these countries are quite concerned about it, and the report suggests the monitoring team report, as well as the report of the United States. It suggests that these terrorist organizations are gearing up to expand their operation in the regional countries and beyond. So it becomes the interest of all the ECO, as I said, whose membership, Turkey also has a membership of ECO, Iran, Turkey, and other countries. So they all are on one point. I don't think there will be any disagreement so far as the security is concerned. And security plus connectivity is one of the cardinal points in the charter of SCO, and the Article 3 of charter of SCO. It's very clear about these points and connectivity. India has its own stake. And probably it would be wrong to to say that India perhaps would not have much interest in Afghanistan stability. I think they have a very stake in this connectivity, which they can reap the fruits of it from the of Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and has been refusing this connectivity, uh, soft down if they get in turn in, in the bargain with India. And India, in my own analysis, subsequently would try and see demands of not only Pakistan at the bilateral level, but would like to bring something on the table with the SCO while they are asking about the connectivity. So all these factors, if we just have keep it in front of us, it appears that the Afghan stability of the region is in the interest of all the members of the SCO, and not only all the members of the SCO. Recall that even China, US, Turkey, and other countries have had about 4 or 5 meetings to really find the ways and means how to bring stability in Afghanistan, and particularly asking Afghan Taliban to fulfill their promise according to the Doha Agreement in
Right.
their paragraph 3. Yes.
Right, Mr. Aniq Zafar, when we go through the charter of the SEO, the Article 1 relates to the goals and the tasks and categorically talks about the promotion of human rights and fundamental freedoms in accordance with the international obligations of the member states and the national legislation also. So specifically when we talk about the kind of human rights violations which are being perpetrated by Indian authorities in IIOJK as well as within India towards minorities, can this issue, as per the SCO charter, be taken up for discussion?
Definitely. I mean, Pakistan will have an interest in raising this issue. But again, as I said, that because this is a multilateral forum and China is there, China has its own issues with India. They also have bilateral border disputes and all that. There will be talk of these issues, but again, as I said, that
but
Pakistan.
the SCO charter doesn't clearly bar.
It does not clearly
doesn't
bar,
bar
but India will try to keep it away from the bilateral issues because India is the host right now. But I think Pakistan can and should raise these issues, but we will have to have a very nuanced approach
Can
to
the
it,
other members
because
also take the notice
our
of it?
objective here is much larger. Our objective here is to be part of the region, give a message to the leading players in the region like China and Russia that we are a country which is invested in the future of this region in terms of security stabilization, in terms of economic cooperation, in terms of interconnectivity. So we should be working on that. As far as Kashmir issue is concerned, that is very dear to our heart. That has been central to our foreign policy. But
the SCO charter also talks about the peaceful settlement of the dispute among the member states also.
Yeah, peaceful settlement,
And
of
it
course.
uses the words of between, not among. So between
Between,
means
of course.
if there are disputes between two member states also.
Yeah.
So what about the Kashmir issue?
Yeah, it's not without the Kashmir issue. Of course, it is very obvious that Pakistan will be raising this issue. But my fine point here is that while raising that issue, we should not lose the focus of this conference. The focus is much wider, and again, as some people argue that even to resolve Kashmir issue bilaterally with India, we have to have support among our allies, among the Committee of the Nations. And it's very interesting if you see the dynamics of SCO. India normally has been trying to align itself with the Western powers vis-a-vis China, but it cannot afford to ignore SCO because it also has China and Russia.
Isn't it
so
ironic
it is a very important bilateral forum where multilateral forum where we can engage with India constructively and where we have sort of good support amongst the members.
So isn't it ironic that India at the same time wants to toe the interests of the Western world, right? The major world powers in the West. At the same time, it is also interested in taking the dividends of the SCO, the regional connectivity.
Yeah,
How do you
of
see
course, because India is not located in Europe or in Americas. India is located in this region, and this multilateral forum is for this region. So India understands that it has to be part of this group to continue to grow the way it wants to grow.
Right. Dr. Jamil Khan, your take regarding this. Isn't it ironic for India to also at the same time look for the interests of the Western world, especially when it comes to containment of China? At the same time, it wants to be the part of SCO to take and reap the dividends of the regional connectivity. How do you see that?
Yeah, it's ironic, but that's right. But at the same time, India is cognizant of the fact that SCO has 40% of the world population. SCO has 30% of the global GDP. SCO has 4 nuclear countries in it. And India knows that they have $87 billion trade with China. And India also knows that if they have the connectivity, they can enhance their the trade, commerce, and can actually they can grow as per their aspiration and as per their dreams. So they know it fully well. But irony is that they are the member of Quad and they are the member of a string of alliance. We are the member of a string of pearls. And they are also supporting the Quads, also supporting OCAS, which is Australia, UK, and US. And India is trying to maintain and get maximum from the West, particularly United States. First time India gave its logistic base at Gujarat, and the kind of agreements, defense agreements India has entered into, that would be detrimental to the interest of the SCO members. But my own understanding and the way things are emerging in this region, and the interest of India in the GCC country, interest of India in the Central Asian country, China, Russia, it appears that India would try and strike a balance. And subsequently, the way the United States economy is now, as compared to China, is going down, India would start siding with the East, and India would start siding with the SCO country, ECO country. And subsequently, what I feel that the SARC can also get activated um, once things become slightly better. So it's quite ironic that India is trying to have its trying to sail in two boats, but sooner I think start consolidating, and we'll see that India would find its interest in this block rather than staying in that block. They are trying to get maximum out of it, and afterward, perhaps they are going to drift back to this because of the interest which I've just mentioned, the kind of interest which India has with it. India knows that this is the platform which can further cement their relations with Iran, with GCC countries, and particularly after Saudi Arabia, once it becomes, hopefully by next year, Iran and Saudi Arabia become the members. So afterward, India can foresee what big advantages can it take by staying and by remaining sincere to this platform. So far as Kashmir is concerned, my own understanding is that this time the heat is not going to be generated as much as at the previous occasions, but this time it appears because of the role of China and because of the role of Russia and some other countries, probably at this bilateral issue, as the charter suggests, that should be taken up at the bilateral level between the countries which has it. Even China is not going to take up this dispute of the line of control, the line of actual control, and Daulatpur, as well as Chicken Neck and Hanuchal. So I am quite hopeful that this SCO meeting would not have much negative repercussion on any of the aspects. And with the presence of the prime minister, with the prime minister, foreign minister, it appears things would become slightly more favorable. At least the ice seems to have been breaking during this visit. But let's hope that they have some on the sideline, some meeting, and they do not really touch upon any hot topic tomorrow between India and.
Dr. Jamil Khan, please kindly give us a sense of this particular Article 2 of the SCO Charter when it talks about the peaceful settlement of disputes between the member states. What does that exactly mean? So, is it about the disputes when we vis-a-vis Kashmir, if we specifically talk about, does it also, this particular clause of this SCO Charter, relate to such disputes also?
Not only this, but any member country for that matter. For example, China and India, a line of actual control. So they are also supposed to, because the charter doesn't allow them to bring that on the table and the agenda or under the discussion during the course of various sessions of the summit and these meetings. So it is very clear, so far as Article 2 is concerned, it's very clear that the dispute between the two countries shall be resolved through the peaceful means. It's further if we examine that peaceful means and dialogue between the countries. So that probably they'll maintain it, and it's very well crafted articles of the charter. Probably I have not really witnessed in the mainstream of the discussions in the previous SCO proceedings where they would bring in something disputed between the two countries on the table of the SCO. Yes.
Right, Dr. Jamil Khan, what about the promotion of human rights? In the first article, it categorically talks about the promotion of human rights and fundamental freedoms in accordance with international obligations of the member states and their national legislation also. So if there is any human right violation being committed by one certain member country, can the rest of the members take cognizance of that violation and also take that particular thing up for discussion?
Most of these countries are the signatories of various conventions of the human rights. So they cannot close their eyes altogether. But at the same time, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization is one which try to avoid anything which could bring in differences among the members. So I again do not see that China would be raising its voice or the other members like Russia at this platform because they have not done it once their two reports were published by the Human Rights Commission. And the Human Rights Commissioner had published those reports where they had tabulated and brought forward all the human rights violations which has happened in Kashmir. But China and Russia at that time also was very mild on it. So therefore, I am not expecting, although the charter does give the permission to discuss about the human rights. But India, as they've been doing their homework by engaging with the member countries even before the start of such summit, whether this one or the other summits of human rights, including Human Rights Council, they try and just do their lobbying. They try and have their engagements so that once it comes at the forum like SCO, the member countries do not really generate much heat on such points. But this is their weak point. They know it, and they also know it that the Religious Freedom Commission of United States very recently, just 4 or 5 days ago, they have issued another report. This is the
This is
third
for the second
consecutive
time
report.
they have issued such a report.
That's right. And they have mentioned about the kind of atrocities and the religious freedom problem, which also comes under the ambit of the human right. So the concluding remark from my side on your question is that I don't foresee some heated discussion on human right violation anywhere in India.
Right. Right, Mr. Aniq Zafar, how can Pakistan truly tap that very potential that SCO offers, particularly when it comes to meeting the energy demand here in the country?
As mentioned by our correspondent on the ground, Pakistan's foreign minister is engaged in bilateral meetings and Pakistan has already started talking to various countries in Central Asia for its energy needs. There are projects which have been in the pipeline since last many years, but obviously Afghanistan's security situation did not allow those projects to move forward with considerable urgency. But I am quite hopeful now that with China looking to invest in Afghanistan, we hear that China is looking to invest in Afghanistan, particularly in some of the mineral resources, and particularly lithium. We are hearing about that. China will also be interested in stabilizing Afghanistan's security, taking some responsibility for stabilizing security situation in Afghanistan, engaging Afghan Taliban for that purpose. And I can sense that Afghan Taliban also understand that now they need to engage with the world. Otherwise, they won't be able to sustain their power in Afghanistan, because they have to feed people. They have to provide opportunities to the people there. Only on the basis of guns and slogans you cannot ensure economic prosperity in the country. And I was reading somewhere recently that Afghanistan has also given a go-ahead to Tajikistan for Tapi, the gas pipeline. So Pakistan will be very much interested in exploring those avenues, and these bilateral meetings with the foreign ministers, and later in July. I hope that as Honorable Ambassador said, that there will not be much heat. That's what his expectation is, and my expectation is also that, so that in July, when there is a summit, our Prime Minister can also travel to India and engage with other heads of the state from Central Asia, Russia, China. We are already engaged with Russia for our crude needs. Looks like we will have much better trade relationship and trade routes developing in the, not even if one wants to say not in the immediate future, but in the longer term, we have to rely on these relationships.
Do you think there is a realization that is continuously developing among the Afghan Taliban? If they want to reap the dividends of the regional connectivity, there has to be a safer environment, and the militant outfits or the terrorist outfits or the banned outfits which are operating from Afghan soil have to be dealt with strictly.
Yes, I think that is very imperative. That is imperative on Afghan Taliban and current Afghan government, that they ensure that Pakistan's security and stability is not challenged by any actors which are operating out of Afghanistan soil. They will have to ensure that, so that they can reap the benefits of connectivity and trade. Otherwise, obviously, Pakistan's if this forum or Afghan Taliban cannot ensure Pakistan's cannot give sort of assurance to Pakistan that its stability and security matters to them, nothing can move forward.
Right. Dr. Jamil Khan, what core areas do you identify Pakistan can benefit in being the member of the SCO?
Needs energy, and energy is a core requirement of the charter. So energy is one part. Tourism. In fact, even a couple of years ago, we would see so many tourists coming from the Central Asian country. Aga Khan University and Aga Khan Hospital, I have witnessed it myself. There are so many patients. They are coming here on the medical tourism. So I think that would definitely be enhanced, and that should be enhanced. As a matter of fact, that's a core. Energy, tourism, and the trade with the Central Asian countries. These are the three core things, and rest of the things we have already discussed. The Tapi is one, and CASA is another one. So these are the projects in the long run, and not in that distant future. I foresee the way the things are developing, the geopolitical in this region. I guess that it's just a matter of a couple of more years that we'll start seeing these projects consolidating. So yes, Pakistan has these core interest in the SCO, and those interests can be met with not that much of difficulty. Yeah.
Right, Dr. Jamil Khan, former ambassador, thank you very much for joining in at Views on News tonight. We really appreciate that. In the studio, we were joined by Mr. Aniq, Zafar, political analyst. Thank you very much for your time, also being with us on Views on News tonight. We really appreciate that. It was indeed a enlightening discussion, and all eyes are set on this particular visit of Foreign Minister Mr. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari to India and his participation in this multilateral mood of the Council of Foreign Ministers meeting of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. With that note, we come to the end of today's episode. Till the next one, take good care of yourselves.